Good morning, Professor Carl Johansson. Thank you for joining us from the Elroy Robinson Natural History Museum in Fresno, California. How are you today?
I'm fine, thank you. And how are you?
Very good, thank you. So I've been wanting to ask you, I know that several invertebrates have evolved to be cryptobiotic, like tardigrades. This seems to indicate an evolutionary advantage. What are your thoughts about that?
So first we'll define cryptobiosis, which is crypto is hidden, biosis is life. So essentially when we say an animal is cryptobiotic, what that means is that we can't detect any signs of life, no sign of any cellular metabolism or anything else. They are, for all practical purposes, dead. But then they, quote, come to life, typically with the addition of water. So that's cryptobiotic. And water's the key here. Water is essential for all life to exist. And all living things, of course, then require that water for them to live. Some organisms, some animals can make most of their water metabolically from the food they eat and those kinds of things and absorb it. But most need to have water in their environment. And so when we talk about tardigrades specifically, tardigrades are actually aquatic animals. They're a small animal. They don't have a respiratory or circulatory system, meaning they can't breathe, so they can't get oxygen that way. They can't get rid of their CO2, and they don't have blood that circulates those gases. And so they have to be small enough and thin enough so that every cell can exchange oxygen and carbon dioxide and waste products with the environment. And the only way that happens is through a wet membrane. It has to be wet for the oxygen to, you can think of it as the oxygen sticks to the wet and then it can get transported across. And so these are aquatic animals that have to live in water, and yet they live in these habitats that are primarily terrestrial, land-based. And many of those habitats are habitats that lack water for significant portions of the year. Places like in deserts or or seasonal places, Mediterranean climates where it's dry for long periods of time. And so their habitats, the places they live that typically provide them the water they need to stay wet and actually live in, those dry up. So there is no free water available. That would mean certain death because you can't go through the life processes. And so what's happened over evolutionary time is that tardigrades, nematodes, and a few other groups of invertebrates have developed processes by which they essentially pause their life cycle. They just stop all the living process. The cells stop functioning. By any biological definition, they're dead, except for water. When water returns to their environment, they immediately start up those processes again. And that's what makes tardigrades so unique, is this process that they can stop and then restart their life processes based on the availability of water.